Owning a home in Naperville is about living a great life today and investing in a secure tomorrow. On this show, we're going to give you the tools to do both. Welcome to the Naperville Real Estate Weekly Market Update. Hey, Naperville, how you doing? Welcome to the Naperville Real Estate Weekly Market Update. I'm your host, Chris Grano with Keller Realty, and my co-host is with me, Mr. Todd Gosden from Compass Mortgage. Todd, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Another beautiful day.
Yes, more snow. Can't wait.
That's right. That's right. All right, my friend. Well, as always, if you're new to the show, what Todd and I talk about here is very simple. We're going to go through the numbers in Naperville real estate for you, let you know what's happening and why it affects you. We're going to talk about some strategies for winning in both the finance side and also the home shopping and home selling side. And so here we go. We're going to dive right into this week's numbers. Todd, this week we had 59 new listings in Naperville. That number is pretty consistent with last week. Not quite as exciting as the very beginning of the year, but it makes sense with some of the weather that we've been having. I think some people are maybe holding off for just a couple weeks till we get through the worst of this, right? We have 80 homes under contract this week. That number is consistent with last week and right on line with where we've been, which means big activity. Kind of the little outlier this week is only 22 homes went closed this week in Naperville. But again, if you track back about 45 days was right about Christmas. So makes sense for those loans that are, either FHA or just longer conventional loans. So still strong activity in the market. Let's take a look at the inventory, because we've been tracking that, for the entire time we've done this podcast, and it continues to move. And this year is starting to move in the right direction for buyers. So when we look at the single family homes under $500,000 in Naperville, remember $500,000 is right around that midway point. And so under $500,000 is that first time home buyer market. That is still pretty low inventory. That's still sitting at about 2.6 right now, less than 2 months days on market for those homes to sell. So they're moving quickly and there's not a lot of them. Still pretty decent seller's market in that price point. When we move up to that next price point, we look at homes between 500,000 and 1 million, which is, more of what we associate with a lot of the neighborhoods in Naperville. We're looking at climbing inventory. Todd and I have been talking about this the last couple weeks, 3 weeks. And right now we're sitting at about 5 MSI, which means that we're getting closer to a balanced market. So for those buyers, that's great news. For the sellers, if you're still trying to take advantage of low inventory, I would do that now and not wait too much longer, because it's going to continue to build as we get out of this cold, as we get out of coronavirus. And then we look at the homes over 1 million. Similar story, inventory is building. So last week we're at 13 MSI. We're at 15 MSI. Building inventory, and still, as typical, we're looking at a little right around somewhere between 9 months and a year to sell a home in that price point. So Todd, what do you have for us? Have the rates done anything monumental in the last week?
Nothing. Everything is still fantastic. Interest rates are as low as they've ever been. You're seeing, generally speaking, for well-qualified buyers, 15-year terms and under around 2.125% to 2.25%, and you're seeing 16 to 30-year terms anywhere from 2.625 to 2.75. And so rates are extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary right now. And I don't see any foreseeable future of them going much higher than where they're currently at. So we'll see what happens.
That's great. I know there was some worries, people watch the news too much, right? And so
well, you know what? If we all knew the answer to everything of what interest rates we're going to do, we'd probably be doing things differently, right?
Right.
So who knows, but all I know is now is a great time to capitalize on rates that offer significance and purchasing power to themselves, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Todd. So our tip for this week, we're going to talk to folks. A lot of people know about a traditional loans when they're going to purchase a home, and occasionally I'll have people, that want to do renovations, and they say, well, how do I do that? And what if I need money, to accomplish the renovations, and I don't have $50,000 in cash sitting around.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about what some options are for folks out there who are trying to do that?
Well, and I think we all have to understand as this pandemic has done to us in 2020, we've all became much more familiar with our homes because that's where we're also going to be working nowadays, right? And so when you start looking at home renovation remodeling, realize that from 2019 to 2020, there's been a 31% increase in the number of people that are remodeling right now. Wow. And they're forecasting over the next 2 years another 11 to 14%. So look at the big picture of that. What would it look like from 2019 to 2023 with 45% of people remodeling? So there's a lot of things there we have to dig into, but the average American right now is spending over $13,000 a year in renovation, whether it be landscaping or new HVACs, new appliances, whatever it is. It's significant, you know, and when you start looking at the numbers of seeing that companies like Home Depot are doing $381 billion in home renovation things, it's incredible right now. And so that tells you that people are at home. They're cooking more. 85% of people are spending more time in their home. 70% of people are spending more time cooking because they can't go out to restaurants because they're closed. So we'll see what the rest of this year may look like. But the bottom line, it comes down to this, is that it's something that we all want to do, right? And we all wish we could do it very inexpensively. And I think that where renovation comes in for the person who is looking to do it is the relationship with you is very important, because I hear so many times that, hey, I want to do this, but how do they know they're not over improving their neighborhood, right? Yes. And that is a very, very big topic right now. And one of the things when I always get into this conversation is you got to call Chris or call your local agent that you're working with, because ultimately, whatever you're looking to spend, you have to recognize you're not going to get dollar for dollar back out of it, right? And so as your job is to do is to help them understand what those renovations may do to the value of their home, and also help them understand, will they get the dollars that they're looking for out of their home if they do a $150,000 or $2,000 renovation, right? So those are all really important things. And there's two ways that most people are looking at doing the remodeling. One is they're doing home equity lines of credit in their homes. As we know, the third quarter last year was the highest number of equity built in homes ever in the real estate market. So people are using that, capitalizing on it. And usually people who are doing that, they're doing their own DIY projects, right? They're doing their own sweat labor. They're trying to do everything themselves. And then there's the other side of it, calling the renovation. The renovation is where they actually are having someone come in doing the work for them. There's blueprints for what they want to do. They're picking out things they want to do to the house, whether it's opening up the floor plans or whatever they may be doing. The difference really between those two, very elementary without getting too in depth in this call, is when you're doing a line of credit, you're basing your dollars that you're receiving in your line of credit based on the current value of the home. But if you do a renovation loan, they're actually appraising the house for future value after the project has been completed. That's a big, big difference.
Right.
Big difference. Because if you're going to spend $100,000 in your home on a line of credit, that's where they want to make sure that you are talking to them, telling them, hey, we want to make sure the value is going to be there, because if your intent is to do this work and sell it in 2 or 3 years, we want to make sure that you're spending your dollars wisely, right?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where I think that we're seeing so much significance being built into the next 2 years, maybe 3 years, depending on what goes on with the pandemic we're dealing with, is how should people do renovation, and how should they talk to their local professionals about how to do it, right? And the how-to is important most importantly, from a real estate perspective, because ultimately I can share with people all the amazing and creative ideas to be able to finance it, but ultimately it comes back to you or any other agent partner that they have to figure out, is the house going to be of value when I'm finished with it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. And that's one of the hardest conversations that I have to have with sellers, frankly, is when they've already gone and done those things over a number of years. And, you know, at least the consolation of somebody having done renovations in years past is, well, I can say, all right, did you get the enjoyment out of it that you wanted to get? And maybe there's a little bit of solace there. However, for the people who have just decided, well, I'm going to do a major renovation to get the house ready to sell, and then I have to look at them and say, I'm so sorry that you made that choice, because it's not going to help your price like you thought it would.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Big conversation. And I think that people need to know that as they're looking into right now, if you are looking to do any home renovations in 2021, you better be talking about it now, because people that are looking to do home renovations right now are being pushed to 2022. People are looking to put new patios on their houses are being pushed to 2022. So many people are doing this home renovation that they want to do it this year. You better be doing it today if you want to do it this year.
And another good, since you bring that up, I see a lot of people getting desperate and just saying, well, who can do this for me next week? And who, you know what? Don't shortcut work on your home. Reach out to someone like myself, someone like Todd, who have connections in that world. And if you have to wait 3 or 4 weeks to get, whatever fix you're doing, it's probably worth it to do it from a qualified professional.
Absolutely. We're trying to renovate our bathrooms, and it's so far we've been waiting 4 or 5, almost 5 months to get it done because they can't get faucets. They can't get things they need to do things right now. Very crazy.
I'll swing a hammer at your house, Todd, but I don't think you want me to.
I do not want you to, no.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much for educating us about that, Todd. And you're right. Pay attention to these things, folks, because Todd's right. I mean, the landscape continues to shift. And if you're trying to just jump in without thinking things through, make sure you're consulting with experts. Make sure you're really thinking these things through so that you set yourself up. Remember, part of the point of this podcast is to set you up for a secure financial future. And you don't want to sacrifice that with a poor decision made now. So, Todd, thank you as always.
You're welcome.
We'll see you guys next week. And make sure to follow us on all the platforms that we're on. YouTube at youtube.com/Chris Grano. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find good podcasts. Todd and I will be there to share with you. You guys have a great week.